Thank you for tuning into In the Fight with Bo Templin. This is for 1:37 p.m. Today on the episode, we're going to be recapping and reacting to Canelo Alvarez's win over Billy Joe Saunders from the weekend. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is In the Fight.
Gracias a todos. ¡Viva México, cabrones!
Chills, man. It just chills. Sometimes there is no feeling like a big fight night. And over the last year and a half that we have had as a world, this was awesome to see 73,000 people. And, even though the fight was in Texas, it really did feel like that crowd was behind Canelo Alvarez. And when you have a country riding behind a fighter, there's just nothing like it, man. It is an absolute joy and rush to hear the roar of the crowd come down in moments of momentum and intensity. It's pretty epic. It's awesome to watch. So Canelo Alvarez gets a finish over Billy Joe Saunders from the weekend. But there's some stuff to take away here from the fight. So first of all, I want to give some credit to Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders was absolutely a difficult puzzle piece for Canelo to solve. And the Brit was quirky. He was weird defensively. He's really, really sharp. And the jab did land kind of midway through that fight. You kind of felt the momentum switch a little bit. Now, the broadcast for DAZN was mentioning that Saunders was up on scorecards. I did not see it that way. I was watching with some friends of mine over at a buddy's place. It was a big birthday weekend. We had a lot of fun. We were drinking a little bit, and it was cool to watch a fight, just as a fan. So many times because of the job, I'm caught up staying laser focused, and we were really just trying to have a good time and enjoy the fight. But the DAZN broadcast was making it sound like Saunders was up in the fight. I did not see it that way at all. I still thought Canelo was in control, but Saunders had his moments. That is undeniable that Saunders had his moments. So I want to give credit to Saunders. The rhetoric or the idea, the narrative that he quit or is a bum because of the injury that he suffered, you're a lunatic. You're an absolute idiot if that's the case. And this isn't the first time that this has happened this year. This isn't the first time it's happened in boxing. This will not be the last time that it happens in boxing. But the idea that we can criticize these championship level fighters, someone who just gave Canelo trouble because of an injury, and it turns out today that it's going to be a broken orbital bone, but the idea that we're going to criticize these fighters is absolutely ludicrous to me. Billy Joe Saunders was game, he was tricky, he was tough, he was all those things. He was a great man to challenge who I believe is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez. Point blank simple. Was a great challenge on Saturday night, and really that's all you can ask for. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, man. So as the fight went on, Canelo does at times start a touch slow. He just wants to make sure he knows what he's doing, but it did feel like before the blow that broke the eye, before that blow landed, it felt like Canelo was starting to solve the equation. And he would miss on a few occasions. There were times that he did miss on punches, but you could see Canelo starting to figure out the patterns and the counter punching from Billy Joe Saunders. It was really, really fun to watch. Being in San Diego, California, a lot of Mexican culture here, a lot of Mexican people. And when Canelo fights, it is just a different type of energy. These Canelo fight weekends, Cinco de Mayo week, not that that's a big holiday in Mexico, but obviously it's celebrated pretty heavily here. But what a blast. It is so fun. And this was probably the most emotional we've ever seen Canelo Alvarez. I don't know if I've ever seen Canelo really act like that. Getting the crowd involved, being pissed off, wanting a finish. I don't know if we've seen those things really from Canelo Alvarez before, but to see it in this fight, I think he was just really feeling the roar of the crowd. 73,000 people. I really couldn't get enough of it. So, all in all, Great fight, great performances, tons of fun, lot of action. Prayers up to Billy Joe Saunders as he's going to go through a pretty, grueling and painful recovery process. But he has nothing to hang his head on. I think he should be awfully proud of the performance that he put on out there. So what is next for Canelo Alvarez? And yeah, it was the question asked, and he wants all 4 of those motherfucking belts at 168 pounds. Super fun. He's got 3 of them, and now he needs Caleb Plant. He wants Caleb Plant, and he said it himself. He's coming. The thing with this 168-pound division, listen, I understand how tricky the last year and a half has been, whether it's for booking fights, making things happen, business, in any dynamic. It has been complex operating in normal standards. But this was Canelo's 3rd fight since December. And you have all these other fighters waiting in line for this huge Canelo payday, and he's kind of getting fed up with it, it feels like a little bit. He's saying, guys, I can't just fight everyone. You guys have to fight each other in some capacity. So I hope Caleb Plant is next. I hope he unifies at 168 pounds because it is a ton of fun. What makes Canelo Alvarez so good? I don't know if I necessarily have that answer. I asked Robin Black that same question when he was on the podcast back in December, leading up to his fight with Callum Smith, I think it was. And Robin answered beautifully. And I think what Robin explains, we saw in the fight on Saturday night.
And Canelo Alvarez is like a genius example of that. So
okay.
there was a moment on one of my breakdowns where Canelo injures his guy, and as his guy is starting to fall, the hand kind of wobbles down almost in a way that it looks like he's going to, and you see it in slow motion. And you see Canelo, who's already hurt his guy, as his guy's hand wobbles down, you see Canelo go to block a punch that isn't a punch. That's his brain's interpretation of what's happening. So
is this the Sergey Kovalev knockout?
Yes. And if somebody were to go on Twitter and put in 1 minute breakdown, Canelo.
Do you mind if I put it in this clip? Do you mind if I put? That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank
if you find it, you'll drop it in. And what you'll see, and in the breakdown, I show Canelo literally go to hide his body from a non-punch.
The show. You want to see something incredible, my friends? Watch this detail to see how present and connected to the moments Canelo is. He'll land the shot and hunt Kovalev. He's aware that he's hurt, but his nervous system is so highly tuned when Kovalev's wobble shakes his left lobe, Canelo's defense still responds. Watch. They are so special, and then it's Bink City. Beep. Canelo Alvarez with a sensational performance for your DAZN Bink of the Night.
This is his 3rd fight since December, and one of the biggest complaints that people have about boxing is maybe inactivity, or at least this is a common complaint about superstars. But Canelo is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. He is the biggest cash cow in the sport of boxing, and he's fighting consistently, and I think he's being rewarded for it. How could you can't criticize much of what Canelo's done in recent history, because he's just doing things the right way. I wrote a blog about this on Friday for 1:37 p.m. And I really don't understand Mexico's relationship with Canelo. It's really baffling. It's confusing. So many of their legends, and you saw a nice embrace from Canelo and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. after the fight. And so maybe this is just the media pitting them against each other, but it constantly seems like there's a little bit of tension between the two. I know, talking to some, not old timers, not Mexican old timers, but definitely, guys maybe 55, 60, 65 years old of Mexican blood, lifelong boxing fans and fans of the history of the sport in their country. And they like Canelo, they don't love Canelo, or they're indifferent about Canelo. And maybe it's just them covering it up, because I've also seen guys say that and then get super into the fight. It just does not feel at all times that the country is behind him the way they were with previous superstars like a Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know if it's the red hair. I don't know if it's the more fair skin. I can't put a finger on it. But my reading on Mexico's culture, at least in San Diego, is that there is not the same adoration for Canelo as there were with other guys. Now, that doesn't seem to be the case with kids my age or people my age, but with some of the old timers, it's just Canelo's got a little bit of a different style in the ring, and I don't know if it's the look, I don't know if it's the appeal, I don't know if it's his supreme confidence. I'm not sure what it is, but there still seems to be just like a minor gap between Canelo Alvarez and a demographic of Mexico's boxing fans. I don't know what it is, but I am fascinated by it. I'd love for you guys to give the blog a read and see what you guys think. And then even after the fight, we saw Canelo trash talking more than we've ever seen him. I don't know what necessarily got into Canelo. I don't know if he knew that this fight would be tricky. I don't know if he saw this fight as maybe a tougher fight than the fans or critics at home saw. But there was a legitimate sense of relief for Canelo that I think was really apparent the moment that fight ended. Really, the moment that he landed the shot, it seemed apparent that Canelo was going to enjoy this win. Man, I can't wait to see him back in the ring. All right, guys. Yeah, those are my reactions. Thank you for tuning into In the Fight with Bo Templin. Greatly appreciated. We have some really fun episodes coming out over the next few weeks. We have some big guests that we're trying to line up, and I will gladly keep you guys tuned in for it. So, thank you for tuning in.